great Odin's raven.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy.
This is ridiculous. Okay, I'll go.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Film Pulse Weekly, episode number 7. My name is Adam.
And I'm Kevin.
And boy, do we have a great show for you today. So great, in fact, that we are a day late in recording it.
Indeed.
Actually, I had an unplanned trip to Orlando for a friend's birthday, so I completely dropped the ball. But we still have a good show. Today we're going to be talking about South by Southwest, which just ended. So we're going to be highlighting some of our most anticipated films that screened there. And we're going to be having Ryan back with us to tell us about a buddy cop movie titled Collision Course in honor of 21 Jump Street. Came out this weekend. Collision Course stars Jay Leno and Pat Morita, so you know it's going to be amazing.
Yes.
Let's first go over some of the movies we watched this week, as always. So, what did you see this week, Kevin?
Well, I think we should start off with 21 Jump Street, because I know that we both saw that movie this weekend.
Yeah, for once, we both saw a movie that's in theaters this weekend. So
Yes. I almost did not get to, because my wife was under doctor's orders not to laugh.
Which is hilarious, but
Yes. So we had to push it back. I couldn't see it until Sunday.
Well, it's good that you did push it back, because I don't know about you, but I was laughing hysterically throughout this movie.
Yes. It was a laugh riot.
It was
Almost
so
everything.
funny. So funny. For those of you that don't know, 21 Jump Street is the remake of the 80s television show with Johnny Depp. It stars Jonah Hill, Channing Tatum, Ice Cube's in it. There's a bunch of cameos from a bunch of people. It's directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, who, if I'm not mistaken, they're relative newcomers. They did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's it. I think they wrote part of Extreme Movie.
Yeah, but
if you remember that.
Yeah, but
I have a feeling that was for money for Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so they're relative newcomers, but I do think that they have a pretty big opportunity now. I think they're going to be coming out with a whole bunch of stuff. I've been reading rumors and stuff about them working on a Lego movie. There's a sequel to Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, I think, that's in the works.
There's also a sequel for 21 Jump Street.
Right. We'll be seeing a lot of them, and fortunately, I really enjoyed Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, but I really, really enjoyed 21 Jump Street. I thought it was just fantastic. It was so funny.
And it has to be said that it was extremely well written. Jonah Hill and Michael Bacall wrote the screenplay for this movie, and it's great. Michael Bacall, I just saw here, also wrote the screenplay for Project X. So he had himself, and he did Scott Pilgrim vs. the World.
Yeah, he did Scott Pilgrim, and he's also an actor. I think he started out as an actor, and he was in Inglourious Bastards, and he was in Grindhouse. He was in the Death Proof segment.
Mm-hmm.
So he, I think, started out as an actor and then went on to write. And I mean, the writing in Project X was like nothing to even mention. I mean, there were because I mean, the funny thing is, like, 21 Jump Street, I would say, is more highbrow humor. I mean, there are certainly lowbrow moments to the movie, but the dialogue is much sharper.
Mm-hmm.
Project X does have funny dialogue in it, I will give it that, but it is very, like, lowbrow humor, which, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. And
so
Scott Pilgrim has
versatile.
Scott Pilgrim has a great script too.
Versatile. He can do highbrow and lowbrow.
Yeah.
And lowbrow for highbrow.
Yeah, and I think he's got quite a budding career as well. So, one thing I'd like to mention about 21 Jump Street is Channing Tatum's role. I actually really thought he was funny and did a good job.
The first thing that I said talking with my wife after the movie was over was, I hope Channing Tatum does more comedy. His timing and his delivery were excellent. He was hilarious. When they're tripping on the, it's all based around this fake drug called FHS, which the best part of the movie is how they show the people go through the stages, the phases, as they say. And of course they do it, it's like phase 1 and they have a title card. Phase 1 was the gigs, where you just giggle, and that would come up with animation and everything. And the scene when he bust into the band practice.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. And just that scene when he was just falling all over the place and doing like pratfalls and stuff, and it was jumping back and forth between that and Jonah Hill attempting to run in a relay race on the track, and it was so funny. And I think that's what one of the things that really worked with the movie was the team up between Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. Yeah. They worked so well off of each other, and that's kind of where, I mean, I like Jonah Hill as an actor. I think he's really good, and I think that he has a really promising career, but where he really excels is when he's working off of other characters in a movie, like in Superbad. Like, that's where he really shows off his talents. I think both of them were extremely funny in this movie.
Yes, and again, just the way that they animated, with the title cards, phase 1. What was phase 2? I don't know if that was the overconfident.
Yeah, I think that was the overly confident.
Yeah, and then it was phase 4 is fuck yeah, motherfucker.
Yeah, and that's just when they like rage.
That was my favorite part of the entire movie. But I laughed almost the entire way through. And you know how usually comedies, a lot of times, they'll start off strong and then they get too involved with their story, even though their story's never, anything to write home about. But for some reason they get caught up in it a lot and the comedy sort of dies down. It didn't happen in this movie.
It's funny to mention that because I feel like it did die down a little bit at the end. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was funny, but for the first like 20 or 30 minutes from the opening scene when they're in high school, all the way up until when they first join the 21 Jump Street like division or whatever, I was like, I mean, it was just one laugh after another. Yeah. I mean, the scene when they were in high school at the beginning was so funny, but I did feel like it got a little bit, I mean, I guess it got more serious towards the end. Once the action started ramping up, then I thought that the comedy lowered a little bit, but at the same time, I loved the just the action movie stereotypes that they kept like putting in there, like the trucks not exploding when they think they're gonna explode and stuff, and it was really good, and
yeah, I would say maybe it did die down, or I think it slightly just changed because in the beginning it was just all balls to the wall, all out, because essentially the first half that's the best is when they're tripping on the drug FHS.
And James Franco's little brother, Dave Franco, was in it, and he played sort of like the popular kid drug dealer. And it was so funny because when they ended up back in high school, it was like the popular kids were like super like green and like
smart.
Yeah. And like they were like really concerned with the environment, and they drove like eco-friendly cars and stuff. And it was just this whole paradigm shift, that happened over the last few years.
And Channing Tatum's character couldn't understand it. He couldn't. It felt wrong to him.
One of the funniest things at the beginning that when they were at the high school, I thought was the usage of the backpack.
Yes.
The one strapping versus the double strapping.
Yes.
And it's funny because that's how it was in school,
Yes.
you know. You wore a backpack with both straps, you were lame.
Yeah. Well, there's an art to it because I think if you're a person that walked home and you had a decent walk, I think you were allowed to two-strap it.
I think it was acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, you got a long hike home, you got to two-strap it.
Or
you're going to kill your shoulder.
Or it might have been acceptable after you're a certain distance away from the school.
That's true.
When you're first leaving the school, like when you're walking around in the hall and you're still on the property,
yeah, you got
to single strap it. You got to one strap it, and then you can double after you leave the school's property.
Yeah, you got to one strap it with your pimp walk while you're leaving school, and then once you get past like the baseball diamonds, then you can two strap it.
I think Dave Franco did a pretty good job too. Even though his role is somewhat small, he was pretty funny. And I've seen him in some other movies. He's been in a couple horror movies that I remember. He was in Fright Night, but I feel like he was in like maybe one or two other like horror movies that I saw that I can't remember what they were. But
yeah, I had one small qualm about this movie, and I mean it's very, very small, but it was just very odd to me because, you know, we graduated high school in 2002, and the movie starts off with them back in time when they're in high school.
In 2005.
2005, and Jonah Hill is dressed up like Eminem, and they're playing The Real Slim Shady. Like, that was when we went to high school. That wasn't in 2005.
Exactly, yeah.
That was in, like, 2001. We're like 2000, I'm not exactly sure, but I thought it's such a small thing that you think someone would have nailed that.
Well, plus I think, I mean, at least, I don't know how old Channing Tatum is in real life, but I feel like he looks older than graduating in 2005.
Well, yeah,
you know,
and I love how they sort of they play on that the entire movie.
Oh yeah, how you look like how you look like a 35-year-old man.
It says here that he was born in 1980, so he'd be 3 years older than us.
So he's
like 31.
31. Okay. Either way, if you haven't checked it out yet, absolutely go see it. It's just a must see. Best comedy of the year so far.
Easily. Probably
gonna be one of the best, if not the best of the year. So
yeah,
I highly recommend.
Yeah. It was great.
Let's move on and talk about another movie that we both saw this week, Attenberg. This is kind of taking a little different turn. I would say it is a comedy, but this is a Greek film. Now, there's been this recent trend with these kind of quirky, strange Greek comedies. We saw it before in Dogtooth. I reviewed this movie for the site, and I made a lot of comparisons to Dogtooth, and as much as I tried not to do that, it's impossible because it's such a similar film, in my opinion.
And, I mean, of course, the director of Dogtooth is in it.
Yeah
and
he acts in it.
And the woman that directed this, Attenberg, Athena Rachel Sangari, she is a producer on all of his films. So she produced Dogtooth, she produced Alps, which is the newest movie coming out from the director of Dogtooth, and they sort of seem to all work together.
This was a really interesting movie. I didn't ask what you thought of it. What did you think of Attenberg?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was, I don't know if I want to say it was better than Dogtooth, but I thought that it had more to say than Dogtooth.
Yeah, I mean,
because I thought
could probably argue that.
Yeah, because I think they had some really good things about, the state of Greece with the economy and everything, and how they skipped over the industrial age. And I learned a couple of things, like I didn't know that you couldn't get cremated in Greece.
Yeah, I thought that was Interesting.
I
That was
did not
weird.
know that. And how they talk about you're buried in Greece, and then after a couple of years, after your body decomposes, they dig you back up, put you in a tin, and then give your plot to someone else, which I didn't know they did that either.
Yeah.
But I would guess you would have to. I mean, it's a small island.
Mm-hmm.
Or not an island, sorry. But I didn't know that.
Basically what this movie is about, well, I'll read the IMDb synopsis and then we'll talk about what it really was about. It says, stuck in her boring factory town, 23-year-old Marina is at the mercy of both her father's impending death and her distaste for other human beings. That's a somewhat accurate
Yeah.
description, I would say, but there's a little bit more to it than that. I mean, it's a story about kind of like mortality and her. I think it's also kind of about her kind of discovering her own sexuality as well.
Yeah.
And trying to become like a sexual being, but all the while trying to understand how it works and how relationships work and everything like that.
Yeah, because she only learns about sexuality really from her best friend, Bella, and from watching the nature documentaries of Sir Attenborough, which is where the name of the film comes from.
Right, because they don't seem to know how to pronounce
Yeah,
Attenborough, so.
her friend doesn't know how to pronounce it.
I did have some issues with this movie. Personally, I thought that Dogtooth had more substance to it. I felt like if it weren't for the strange, like weird instances of dialogue and just really kind of bizarre scenes, there wouldn't be a whole lot to this that we haven't seen before. And I also felt like the scenes where there were many scenes where they throughout the film where her and her friend were just kind of doing these weird choreographed walking things down the street.
Yeah, think Monty Python.
Yeah.
The skit where they have the silly walks. That's what they do.
Right. So, like, throughout the film, I mean, it happens, like, 3 or 4 times throughout the film. There's just, like, these strange little interludes. And I thought that having them once was okay, because, especially at the beginning, because it kind of set the tone for who this person is and, you know, how weird she is with her friend. But when it happens 3 or 4 times, I'm kind of left like, all right, what is this? Like, what's it for? Why am I seeing this? And I just felt like there needed to be a little bit more there with it.
Yeah.
The cinematography and camera work was phenomenal.
Yeah, I love the opening shot. The opening shot where her and her friend are practicing tongue kissing.
Oh yeah, and it was really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah, it's very odd.
Very uncomfortable to watch, just like Dogtooth. I guess the reason I like Dogtooth better was just because Dogtooth it felt more original to me. Like, that was a story that I never saw before. Basically, Dogtooth is about a family that the father basically keeps his children sheltered from the world. He doesn't let them leave their property. And he comes up with these really elaborate stories to try to keep them within the confines of their property. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's just a far more interesting tale, I guess you could say.
Which I have to say, I think Dogtooth is now Play Instant on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, you should definitely check out that movie. If you're ready for some odd Greekness.
And yeah, it is very weird, but at the same time, it's really good at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I didn't talk about it last week, but I did see Project X. Did we talk? I don't think I talked about it last week. I don't think you did. I finally did get to see Project X. Like I said at the beginning when we were talking about 21 Jump Street, not a good movie. I probably wouldn't recommend going to see it. The only thing that I really liked about the movie was the cinematography. I thought that all the camera work was excellently done, and it really made a movie that was completely mediocre and not even, I wouldn't even say mediocre, just terrible, and made it something that was actually kind of a joy to watch. It was very much like a music video, a lot of like slow motion stuff, but it was a found footage movie as well, so it had some really cool stuff that they did with that whole found footage gimmick, I guess.
Yeah.
All the while, I would still not recommend it at all, especially if you're a female. I think that if you're a female, you will probably be offended at least once or twice throughout this movie.
Which is something that I didn't get to say about 21 Jump Street, is I was pleasantly surprised that for the first time it was a R-rated comedy that really didn't, objectify women too much,
No. Yeah, I don't think people would be too upset over 21 Jump Street.
No, and hopefully that's something that, because it's so easy and so cliched and just old.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of movies go there. I think Collision Course is gonna go a little bit more of a racist tone, but
yeah.
I didn't see the movie, but I saw the trailer. We'll be talking about.
Yeah, and you can just tell from the time it was made and who's in it.
But I'm sure we'll be talking about that with Ryan. Do you have any other movies you want to talk about this week?
No, I do not.
All right, let's move on and do some Ryan Watches a Movie. This is Ryan Watches a Movie, where we get our friend Ryan to watch a movie and report back to us on if it was good or not.
Oh no, Carl. Little kids got naked and had lots of sex.
Welcome back, Ryan. What movie did we have you watch this week?
Collision Course.
Collision Course.
With
Yeah.
You're almost there.
With?
Can we restart this?
Nope.
I knew I'd do.
No, this is all going in.
I'm trying to do something else right now and then talk at the same time.
Okay. This is the 1986 movie with Pat Morita and Jay Leno. Now, it was made in 1986, but it actually didn't come out until 1989. So most of the dates that you see, it will say 1989. Actually, they ran out of money and couldn't finish it. So that's why it came out later.
Why the hell did they run out of money?
Well, you saw the movie, so I'm hoping that you'll tell us why they ran out of money.
It didn't look like it wasn't. What was the budget for it?
That's unknown.
Oh.
Well,
too much. Or not enough, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. The IMDb synopsis states, a Japanese investigator and a Detroit cop team up to track down a stolen prototype turbocharger. We could only infer that the Japanese investigator is played by Jay Leno.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
And Pat Morita is the tough-talking Detroit cop.
Yes, exactly.
It's directed by Louis Teague.
Louis
who
Teague.
You may remember us talking about when we did our review of Navy SEALs. Now, this was a complete coincidence. I had no idea that it was the same director when I picked this movie out.
Correct.
So that was just a little bonus I got after
awesome.
after I started researching the movie a little bit. Before we get into, do you want to add something, Ryan?
Same director, same movie.
Yeah. Well, let's go ahead and listen to the trailer for Collision Course, and then we'll have you give us your thoughts, Ryan.
What do you get when a Japanese special agent comes to Detroit?
I talk some Jap. Toyota, Mitsubishi, Kawasaki, Teriyaki.
To
Racist.
team up with a wisecracking city cop,
Yeah, I don't think we need quite as much firepower, fellas. Let the people through, will you?
hot on the trail of murder and corruption.
You see, Oshima stole revolutionary new turbocharger.
You got proof of this? You just make it up as you go along.
No. I see guilty look in Jared eye.
Guilty looking eye. Well, with that kind of hard evidence, we should get a conviction overnight.
Collision Course.
Police officer! Criminal!
The funniest, wackiest,
Debatable.
Just my luck, I think the guy from Japan doesn't know karate.
buddy cop comedy that crash onto the screen.
Racist.
We'll make him nervous. Maybe we'll do something stupid. Run a red light, spit out the window, then I can fry his ass. Fry his ass?
Okay.
Ready to see up.
That's the trailer for Collision Course.
That guy's voice makes me laugh.
Who, Pat Morita?
No, the older announcer guy.
Yeah.
Like the movie trailer announcer
The
guy.
movie trailer guy, yeah.
Was it wacky? Was it the wackiest, funniest?
It was
Buddy
stupid.
cop comedy.
It was
Okay.
stupid as shit. And before I get into it, it's really funny that you said racist, because there's a lot of that in this movie, and that's exactly what I thought when I saw it.
Well, let's just, you know how on IMDb they have their sort of plot keywords. Let's just say here are the 5 plot keywords: Japanese, Detroit, Michigan, drag racing, motor car industry, and stereotype.
Yeah. I like the stereotyping. Yeah, I mean, like, even in the trailer that we just heard, there was like that. I mean, that was like blatantly racist remarks, and that was the theatrical trailer for the movie. I think it's so funny how they used to be able to get away with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us about the movie, Ryan? What happened?
Basically, it's like, what are those Chris Rock movies called? I can't.
Rush Hour?
Yeah. It's basically like that.
Chris Tucker was in Rush
Yeah.
Hour.
What did he say?
Yes.
You said Chris Rock.
Now I get those two confused.
I think that might have been a racist comment.
Well, I didn't try it. I didn't try it whatsoever. But basically, this movie isn't even, and I didn't even think those movies were good, but this movie is definitely a shittier version of those movies. Only instead of Chris Tucker, you have Jay Leno, which is equally as annoying and equally as terrible.
Now, I think that this movie was made before he started hosting The Tonight Show. This is when he was still a stand-up comedian.
Yeah,
trying to pursue an acting career.
I think he was, you know, sort of guest hosting.
Yeah. It was like right around the transition period, because I read a fact that said that he had Pat Morita on when he guest starred, and they talked about it, and that's when they revealed that the movie ran out of money, and that's why it didn't come out until 2 years after it was made.
Yeah, they weren't able to shoot a couple of key scenes, and they didn't even have money left for editing or post-production.
I don't understand why they needed all this money, because there wasn't like anything spectacular.
So, according to the synopsis, they're tracking down a stolen prototype turbocharger?
Yeah.
For like a car?
Yeah.
I mean, like, to me that seems like kind of, I mean, what's the point?
Because apparently the Japanese people developed this, and the American, like Ford and GM and Chrysler, they want to steal it from Japanese people so they can make American cars run more efficiently.
Okay.
And make more money.
Wow, okay. Well, that sounds terrible. Yeah. This was written by Robert Resnikoff, who I'd never heard of and didn't do anything that anyone would know. And
what are you talking about? He wrote the movie The First Power with Lou Diamond Phillips.
I never even heard of that. I never even heard of that. He also apparently did a movie called The Jogger, which I also never heard of. It was co-written by Frank Darius Nami.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. That was his only film credit, so
Aw.
he came and went with Collision Course.
I wish Jay Leno came in one with Collision Course.
Yeah, I think we all wish that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's better to burn out than to fade. He just came in like a phoenix with Collision Course and just burned out, man.
You know, I was watching this movie as another side note. I was watching this movie with a friend of mine, and his first reaction was, Jay Leno is in movies? And that was also my first reaction in my head.
Well, as you can see, I guess based on this performance, he hasn't been in many movies.
No.
And I think there's a good reason, because just hearing the trailer, he sounds awful.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks really
He
bad.
does a lot of voice acting, I believe, for cartoons and stuff.
Yeah, and he does guest spots in movies like Jimmy Kimmel does and stuff where they play themselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's that's fine, but when you I don't think he has enough power to carry a movie.
No.
He had enough power to how he has a big car collection in real life?
Yeah.
Well, in this movie, the main car that he drives, it's one of his own cars.
Oh,
Just
okay.
as a side note.
Is it the tank? Is it the tank car?
It's a 1959 Corvette. It's kind of sweet, but that's a show car. It's on a movie car. You know what I mean? Again, it was like what Chris Tucker drove. He had that older Corvette. Cops don't drive them. They can afford it.
That's actually true. I'd imagine. So, was there a lot of decent car chases? I mean, it's called Collision Course. I would think that there'd be some awesome car action.
There are a few car chases, and they were all terrible.
Oh.
There was one scene where there's a car chase, and two cars were chasing the car that Pat Morita and Jay Leno were in. Mm-hmm. And their car flipped on its roof, and Jay Leno and Pat Morita got out of the car while it was upside down and ran down an alley and outran a car.
Nice.
Well, Pat Morita and Jay Leno are pretty much the perfect physical specimens. So.
Oh, they're probably two of the fastest people on Earth. I remember reading that somewhere.
So Collision Course doesn't even have any good car chases in it.
Unbelievable. You'd think they would at least have that going for them.
Dude, the Fast and the Furious have been the awesome car chases, and that was all about cars, but it was terrible as well.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's definitely true.
Yes.
I don't know if I mentioned this, but the reason that we picked this movie this week is due to the release of 21 Jump Street, which is another buddy cop comedy, which is much better, apparently.
Yeah, that movie actually has my interest.
It should.
It should. I saw it this weekend. Kevin, you saw it this weekend too, right?
Yes, and it was probably one of the funniest movies I've seen probably since the first Hangover.
Yeah, it was
absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. I mean, it was like a laugh riot, like non-stop hilarity. Really, really funny.
As soon as I got home from watching that movie, I wanted to watch it again.
Yeah, me too. Like, I just wanted to see it again. So, Ryan, you definitely need to check that one out. It's really good.
The only thing that 21 Jump Street doesn't have that Collision Course does is Ernie Hudson.
Yeah, Winston.
Yes.
Winston from Ghostbusters.
I forgot to mention that. He is in this, and there are a few professional wrestlers in this as well.
What?
Yeah, like they don't have main acting points, but they've cameos.
Nice.
Here's something interesting. Now, it took me a long time to track this movie down. I found it on Amazon for like $3, and I noticed when I got the DVD in the mail that it says that it's rated PG, and I think it's funny that I'm assuming that just because we heard all that like slanderous, like racist material in the trailer, that the movie's probably full of them making fun of, like the stupid Americans making fun of the Japanese man, and like basically every stereotype. Yeah. And I think that it's funny that they can have a movie that's like blatant like that, and PG.
PG, man.
Take your kids to that one.
You know what I figured out also by watching this? I figured out why I hate watching movies that have subtitles.
Okay.
Because I was not remotely interested in this movie, so I really didn't give a two shits about reading any subtitles.
I don't understand.
I don't understand where he's going.
They're not like the whole movie's on subtitles, just when they're in Japan. But
okay. So there's
I don't care enough about this movie to want to watch the subtitle. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah. Let's just say yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's me being lazy.
Yeah.
Probably.
More than likely.
Out of 10, what are you giving Collision Course? Here we go. Drum roll.
Please say 10. Please say 10.
I'm gonna say 5.
A 5.
5 out of 10 for Collision Course.
Wow.
That's up there. That's up there. Was it funny at all? I mean, were there any parts that you laughed, like seriously laughed at one of the jokes?
Yeah.
And not just laughed at how bad it was?
There were parts of it where I laughed, but again, I don't know if it was politically correct for me to laugh.
Yeah, one of those. It's probably okay. I mean, you're in the comfort of your own home. So.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming on the show, Ryan, and watching that for us. It looked like a complete train wreck. Now, there's a limited number of copies of this available on Amazon, so make sure you pick up yours now before they're gone.
They're only $3.
I'm gonna make sure to post this up in the Film Pulse store, so check that out.
If anyone buys this on Amazon, you should make it the
winner.
The winner, the weirdest thing bought.
and then what they win is another copy of Collision Course.
Yes. What they win is copies of Collision Course for life. I'm gonna find every single copy that I can and send it to them.
The remaining copies from Amazon.
All right, Ryan. Thank you again, and we will see you next week for another great movie.
See you later.
See you later, Ryan.
Thank you again, Ryan. We will have you back next week. I'd like to take a minute now to talk about Amazon. We always talk about Amazon because we love it so much. And all you have to do to help us with our site is head on over to filmpulse.net, click on the Amazon banner, and buy some stuff. And you'll be helping us out. Simple as that. You go there anyway.
Yeah, really.
And you can also go to our store and check out some of our favorite DVD and Blu-rays, as well as some of the movies that we talked about on the site and on the podcast during the week. So make sure you check that out. Let's move on and talk about South by Southwest. The Audience Award winners have been announced, and I believe the South by Southwest film has concluded, right?
Yeah. They announced. Well, I think they announced, the jury prize winners first, and then a couple of days later they did the audience awards.
Right. The first movie that I read about that sounds like it could be pretty good is, and this won one of the audience awards for narrative feature, and that's Fat Kid Rules the World. This is directed by Matthew Lillard, who he he kind of like faded away into obscurity for a while there, but now he's back. He was in Wing Commander, and he was in Scream. He was in Hackers.
He was in Hackers.
And that's like how I know him, because I love the movie Hackers.
And Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah. Ugh. Well, it was funny because he was on an episode of Law & Order SVU, and I saw him and I was like, what? Because he had like a mustache and he was like real creepy. At any rate, this is his directorial debut, and from what I've been reading, it sounds like it's a pretty good one. Basically, it's about a fat kid that is kind of miserable with life. He's getting bullied in school and stuff. He's in high school. He tries to kill himself, and this like punk rock kid saves him and basically recruits him to be the drummer in his punk rock band, and he finds his passion, I guess, in punk rock music.
Yeah.
It's based on a book of the same name. I don't have the author in front of me.
I do. The author is K.L. Going.
I never heard of this story before, but apparently
either.
it was a pretty big book. I don't think it's not going to be like, when I first read about it, Fat Kid Rules the World, I was like, oh, it's probably like Wimpy Kid or one of the Diary of a Wimpy Kid. But then I saw the Red Band trailer, and I knew that it was not like that at all.
Yeah. This is the person that carries this film, that plays Troy, which is the fat kid that finds himself in punk rock, is Jacob Wasaki, who you might remember as the main character from Terry.
Right.
And apparently he's supposed to do some very impressive acting in this movie.
Well, he was really good in Terry. I think Terry was his first role, and he did a really good job in Terry. I was pretty impressed. I mean, being in a role alongside John C. Reilly, I mean, to kind of, I don't know if I could say compete with that kind of star power, whatever, acting ability. Yeah. I mean, I think he really stood up to it, because with Terry, people went to see it for John C. Reilly, but I think that they really benefited from that kid's performance.
Yeah. Apparently he's also in the show Huge, which I did not know.
I don't even know what that is.
Isn't that like a Showtime show? Huge? Something? I don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't have TV. So, I don't know what the hell it is.
No,
it's not. It's something else. It's about fat kids, apparently.
I don't know. It sounds familiar.
I was going to say, should we keep saying fat kids? Well, that's the name of the title.
Yeah, Fat Kid Rules the World.
Well, this TV show is called Huge, so I would say Huge Kids. ABC Family.
Oh, ABC Family. Okay, so now we know what kind of show it is.
No, I was getting confused with Hung. That's what it is.
Oh, that's a great that's a great one right there, to get confused with those two.
Yeah.
I'd like to see this kid be in a remake of the film Heavyweights. The Fat Kid Summer Camp movie with Ben Stiller.
Oh, yeah. He is in a movie coming up called Boner Police, the movie. So,
what?
Get excited.
Okay, if you say Boner Police, the movie, that would probably imply that it's been something else before a movie, like a show.
I have no idea.
What kind of show is named Boner Police?
I have no idea. And the tagline is "Life Gets Hard." So.
Oh no.
He had a budding career.
Well, at any rate, judging from the trailer, it does look like it's a pretty good movie. I'm definitely excited to see it.
Yes, I am as well.
What's another movie that you're excited about at South by?
I'm also excited about Safety Not Guaranteed. Now, this already played at Sundance, which I I initially got pretty excited for this movie with that. And it's directed by Colin Trevorrow, and it's sort of like a romantic comedy, but it's based on a real ad that was placed that, it was placed by a man seeking a time-traveling companion, and at the end of it, it said, safety not guaranteed. So this story is centered on a magazine journalist taking his 2 interns to go interview this man and to see what this ad's all about. And one of the interns is played by Aubrey Plaza from Parks and Recreation, and she was also in Funny People. She plays like a sad, confused college grad, and her job is to seduce the guy that placed the ad, which his name is Kenneth, and he's played by Mark Duplass, which is in almost everything now.
Yeah, he's him and his brother are just exploding right now. I mean, they're the ones that basically created the whole mumblecore subgenre.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I still say that that's a stupid name, and I don't know who came up with that.
I think it is too, because you know what I noticed when I was watching The Kid with a Bike? That's a mumblecore movie, but that's just European cinema.
Right.
So essentially, mumblecore is just American cinema trying to be European cinema.
I kind of
with worse cinematography.
I kind of equate mumblecore with like very highbrow humor, like dialogue-based humor. I mean, when you look at like the Puffy Chair and although I haven't seen Jeff Who Lives at Home, I'm sure that it's the same. It's like very dialogue-driven, almost improv type humor. At any rate, Mark Duplass, who's in The League, he's everywhere. He's making movies. He's in movies.
Yeah, he's got Jeff Who Lives at Home just came out. He's in this Safety Not Guaranteed movie. He wrote a movie for his wife called Black Rock, which is like a horror movie.
She's also in The League. Yes.
And he has another movie coming out that played at South by Southwest that I'm somewhat excited for because of the idea of this movie sounds like good times. Called the Dodeca Pentathlon. It's him and his brother made this, and I completely butchered that. I don't even think that's a real word though. Pentathlon.
12 events, right?
Yeah.
12 events.
Well, no, 25.
Oh, 25, that's right. I'm sorry.
25 events. 25 events, 2 brothers, 1 champion. And this was made after they made their indie movie Baghead, but they shelved it because they were working on Cyrus and Jeff Who Lives at Home. But now they're just releasing it. And, it's 2 brothers that resurrect a homemade Olympics competition.
Yeah, and they play like pool and do like all these different things, and then I think that the whole plot is that eventually the competition kind of really strains their relationship.
Yeah.
That looks pretty good.
I just like the idea of 25 events, 2 brothers, 1 champion. That just sounds like it's going to be a good time to me.
Yeah, I think the Hollywood Reporter actually just came out with an article about the Duplass brothers and was just basically saying how they were offered big studio contracts, like multi-million-dollar studio contracts. They turned them down, and now they're like reaping the benefits of it and making just movie after movie, and it's like they're all successful. It's crazy.
Yeah, I want to know how he has the time. I mean, to be in a TV show, plus to star in all these movies, plus to still direct movies.
Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts. I'm excited. I mean, I think I liked all their movies so far. Obviously, I'm a little partial to Baghead because I'm a horror fan, and I thought that was like the perfect blend of comedy and horror. But I think they got a lot of great stuff. I mean, this was definitely this year is definitely their year. I mean, they dominated South by this year, and I think that they got quite a good career ahead of them.
Yeah.
One of my favorite parts of the South by Southwest is their Midnighters series, which is all their horror movies and genre films. And it seems like this year was a really good year for that. We have Cabin in the Woods, which is coming out. That's the Joss Whedon, Drew Goddard film. Looks really cool. That's actually hitting wide release in April, so we'll be able to see that soon. If you haven't seen any of the trailers for that, you can check them out on our site because we have those posted up. Another movie that it sounds really interesting is called Citadel. This is an Irish movie about this guy who he becomes agoraphobic, and there's this crazy group of like feral children that are trying to steal his
sold. I'm sold. Feral children.
Yeah.
Man.
It tries to steal his daughter. It looks really cool. We posted the trailer for that on the site as well. And an interesting little fact, this is written and directed by a guy named Ciaran. What is it?
Syrian. I think.
Syrian Foy.
Sounds good.
And this is actually based off of an experience he had where he was attacked in real life, and kind of the inner psychological turmoil that he had in dealing with, going out in public after he was attacked. So he kind of wrote this movie based on that, and it looks like there's definitely some kind of supernatural element to it, but it looks really cool, and the trailer is freaking really scary. I mean, feral children, come on.
Feral children.
I don't know if The Raid was on the Midnighter series. I don't think it was, but that's the other one that I'm like dying to see. I think that comes out in select cities this Friday. It's actually called The Raid Redemption now because they planned on making 3 movies. It was going to be a trilogy from the beginning, and they thought that it would be easier to understand if they put the subtitle thing below it, which
thank God.
So stupid. I'm so sick of them doing that. Like,
well, I had no idea. I'm like, The Raid, but why? And now I have the subtitle, and now I know it's for Redemption.
It doesn't make any sense. Like, I'm so sick of them coming out with these, like, Underworld, Awakening, Resident Evil, blah, blah, blah. Insert adjective here.
The best one is still Dark of the Moon.
Yeah.
Transformers.
Whatever happened to just numbering sequels? Like, and now they're, like, preemptively doing it. The Raid Redemption? Because, what are they redeeming?
Yeah, you have no idea.
It's the first one. So when you see The Raid Redemption, to me, I automatically think it's a sequel.
Well, they're trying. It's redemption from your initial thoughts of the movie before you even saw it. Like, they're on a whole nother level.
Yeah. Either way, regardless of the title, it still looks like a completely kick-ass, amazing movie, and I'm really dying to see that one. Yes. Any other South by movies that you're excited about?
One more that played at South by Southwest, this is funny because when we did our MPAA show, that was mostly to talk about the movie Bully, and the other movie that at that time got an NC-17 rating, but we forgot to talk about it entirely, which is Killer Joe.
Yes, yeah.
The new movie by William Friedkin, based on a play by Tracy Letts, who his play Bug was another movie another play that was turned into a movie, and of course, like we said, it received an NC-17 rating. They don't seem to be fighting it.
No, I didn't read anything about them fighting it. I think they're just letting it ride.
Yeah, and it looks pretty damn good. And Matthew McConaughey actually looks pretty good in it. It stars him, Emil Hirsch, Thomas Hayden Church, Gina Gershon, and Juno Temple.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sort of about essentially trailer trash. Emil Hirsch talks his father into hiring a hitman, played by Matthew McConaughey, who's also a cop, to kill their mother so they can, get some money. And apparently it's just craziness. And apparently the ending it ends with just a bunch of ridiculous instances, and it sounds pretty crazy to me, and I'm pretty excited for it, especially anytime a movie gets an NC-17 rating and the people are like, yeah, that's fine.
Now, it should also be mentioned that the director, he also did The Exorcist and French Connection, among many other movies. So he's a pretty big-time dude.
Yeah. And like I said, for a guy like that to make this movie, for them to be like NC-17 rating, and he just goes, yeah, okay.
Maybe he's like...
No big deal.
He's like, I'm too old to be arguing with them. I mean, he was born in 1935.
Yeah, because when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, great, another The Killer Inside Me.
Yeah.
But from reading about it, it sounds like it's different.
I was reading some reviews, like festival reviews and stuff, and it sounds like it's getting pretty well received. I don't exactly know why it got the NC-17. I think it's extremely violent, but I do
remember reading that apparently Gina Gershon does sexual things with fried chicken.
Well, then that's it. I mean,
yeah.
I was going to say, I heard that it is violent, but they never rate a movie NC-17 because of violence, so...
Yeah. It's fried chicken.
Yeah.
it's something to do with fried chicken.
Did you see Bug?
I did not.
Yeah, don't.
Okay.
It's no good, man. Like, I was like all excited to see it. I saw it in the theater, and it was really annoying, and just... I was actually very afraid that Take Shelter was going to be like Bug.
Mm.
I mean, it wasn't at all. Not even close. Bug was infinitely better. I mean, yeah, infinitely worse than Take Shelter.
Mm.
I think that does it. Make sure you check our site at filmpulse.net for all the latest film news and reviews. And as always, we welcome your comments and feedback. Just send us an email at podcast@filmpulse.net, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/filmpulse, Twitter at filmpulse.net. We're also on iTunes, Stitcher, all over the place. That's a show for filmpulse.net. My name is Adam.
I'm Kevin.
And we will see you tomorrow for DVD and Blu-ray picks.